Terra, one of Michelle's best friends, and I spent the last about 4 days going over what I would say because Michelle and I had a lot of fun, so I really had to kind of narrow it down so I don't keep you guys here forever because I echo Jamie's sentiments of the last year and how comforting it is to know that she had such a great time in her last year. I kind of wanted to start with where I met Michelle because it's a very unique story. I had a friend that told me, if you ever find yourself to be the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. And I didn't ever really, this was early in college, I never really thought about that too much until I went to a conference in Ankeny, Iowa. And this is the first time I met Michelle, and she was judging the undergraduate panels. And so she had judged our panel, and then I went to see her presentation. And to say I was blown away was it's an understatement. She was one of the most brilliant researchers I've ever met. And so I approached her afterwards, kind of nervous, because Michelle, she has a big, bold vibe if you've been in the room with her. And she looked at me and she said, I don't want to talk about my research. She said, why don't we go get margaritas sometime? And I said, okay. And I said, do you want to exchange phone numbers or what do you want to do? And she's like, nah, don't worry about it. And she just walked out. And so I went outside to meet my group, Trevor and Dr. Bonner back there, and my husband was with them. And as I'm walking to them, she pulls her car up in front of me and she rolls down the window and she's like, get in. And I'm like, well, my people are over there. And she said, I told you we're going for margaritas. And I said, but my people. And she's like, we'll catch up with them later. And she pulled her glasses down and she looked at me and she said, I'll make it PC. She said, get in the car. And that was my first interaction with Michelle. We ended up going for margaritas and we talked for hours. And I found a really good friend. And the one thing about Michelle is if she just hides that she loves you, whether you be animal or human, that becomes an unconditional thing for her. She spent the next year helping me develop my research. She was adamant that I was going to go to graduate school, specifically at LSU. And so she helped me develop my research, and we went to Bremerton where we watched the first Hunger Games movies together, and we decided we would go see each of those together no matter what in a different state. And we did. We went to Bremerton, we went to Chicago, we went to New Orleans, we saw one in Midland, we went to Destin, and she became a really big part of my life, and she told me that she was destined to not let me ever fail, and she didn't because she loved unconditionally. So when I went to go to graduate schools, she got really mad at me because I accepted an offer to Auburn instead of LSU, but the good news is Baton Rouge was close, so as you can see by a lot of the pictures up there, her and I, we really tore it up in New Orleans, and I got to go to some football games with her, and she really loved the LSU Tigers, and then we argued about a couple different things. Primarily, I love Camaros, and I remember the day she looked me in the face and she said, and if you know Michelle, she's really big on quotes. She said, Henry Ford once said, I did not build these vehicles for you to put a damn Chevrolet engine in them. She spent a lot of her time trying to argue with me about that. But I got to experience Michelle in several different ways. She hired me at UTPB. I did not have the qualifications for the position that she hired me in. She told me we will figure it out later, and she stood up for me when the dean said no. She did it anyway, because that's how Michelle was. She was bold, and she did what she always thought was right. So I got to experience things with Michelle, with students. She loved her students. I watched her with Fernando and Sheldon, both of her favorite students, help them get into graduate schools, and she helped multiple students achieve their dreams. With her teaching methods, she was always evolving and adapting. I read her teaching statement. It's up there if you would be interested in reading it. It shows how she was constantly improving, and she was constantly impacting the lives of the people that she loved unconditionally, which there's a huge list. So just some quotes that I have that I know are important to her. She told me always, a normal life is boring. And that's from Eminem. And if you know Michelle, you know that she loved Eminem. And the other thing, we know she loved Clint Eastwood. So she talked a lot about Clint Eastwood and the bridges in Madison County, and I'd like to leave you with one thing from her favorite movie, Bridges in Madison County. The human heart has a way of making itself large again after it's been broken into a million pieces. And I think she was really a testament to that, because no matter what she went through, she always came out on the other side. And it was an honor to get to know her, and I know everybody that was loved unconditionally by her will carry that for the rest of their life.